Hey everyone, in this video I'm going to share a little bit about our family's experience the past year or so of using year one of the Layers of Learning curriculum. We have 7 kids at home, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the pros and cons and what worked and what didn't work for us and our plans moving forward. Thanks for watching, hope you enjoy. Hey, that's me and my family. I'm Molly Joy, and I'm here to share the things that bring us joy today. Alright, so because I'm still not a fan of being in front of the camera, I'm just going to do a voiceover as I flip through some of the Layers of Learning products for you and talk a little bit about what worked and didn't for us. If you don't know about Layers of Learning, it's a 4-year cycle with history, geography, science, and art. They also have a writing program that I'll touch on a little bit. Here I'm flipping through the 4-year schedule of the topics that they have laid out in the units of Layers of Learning. We did year 1 this past year, and I'm going to flip through that to show you a little bit more about it and what we thought. In this binder, I keep history, science, and geography, so it's the entire year 1 program of those 3 subjects. And I'm going to first flip through history. These are the titles in the year 1 history units. I'm going to flip through every page of the first unit so you can get an idea of what it looks like. I have a lot more videos that go into depth about how Layers of Learning works. It starts off giving you an overview of the topic, and then a really awesome book list, as well as a whole bunch of great experiments, project ideas, reading resources, games, vocabulary, things that you could dive deeper in, and with your family, just interesting facts, memorization, ideas, lots and lots of options within each unit, and you could never go through everything in one unit. You can see that I've marked up and highlighted different things that I feel like would work for our family. And then here is the next unit, Ancient Egypt. This is unit 2 of year 1. And then I'm going to start just flipping through a little faster, not every page, but just so you get a little peek into each unit. Again, you can see my markings of the projects that I thought would work well for our family. I have some videos where I go through and talk about how I plan and set up each unit before we start. So you can go back and watch those if you'd like. So each unit comes with all of the things that you see, and then there's also printables for each unit that the kids can do. Some of them are for the timeline book, some of them are for individual projects that are listed. Some of them are like notebooking pages, that kind of thing. And I will flip through one, I believe it's the science unit, that I have the Printable Pack, that you'll be able to see an example of what those look like. Here's Ancient Greece, which was one of the units that our kids really enjoyed, and we enjoyed as a family. I would say that history was probably our favorite subject this year. We really enjoyed just being able to jump into different topics and spend time on the things that we were actually interested in, and not feel tied down to a lesson plan, but still have a jumping off point with tons of ideas. We pulled a lot of our own resources in, added a lot of things, especially to history, like Bible, and that was really neat to see how the Bible, especially with ancient history, tied in to what we typically learn in history class. This is a quick flip through of the Book of Years. It's a timeline book that is set up in a really unique way. We actually don't use this, but we had a DIY one that we had been working through before we started Layers of Learning, so I kind of tweaked it to match this idea of having the timeline along with a spot that you can do your drawings, kind of like a scrapbook or notebook of your family's timeline of history. So here's what we have done in our family. At the bottom of each page, it's hard to see in here, but there's the years that match up with our actual timeline books that each of the kids have individually, where they glue their timeline figures. But this is kind of a family scrapbook, and they draw some of the highlights of what we learned that fit within those years. And so you can flip through the timeline book and this little drawing scrapbook thing at the same time and see how everything lines up together. We also have a timeline up on the wall, and we added a lot to that this year. I'll show you a little bit here of what that looks like. And the timeline figures aren't part of Layers of Learning. Again, it's something we'd been doing prior, but it fits in really well, and I feel like Layers of Learning is easy to just add in the things that you enjoy as a family. And here I start to flip through science, year one. It's the exact same idea. I'll flip through each page of the first unit so that you can get a good idea of how it's set up. It's laid out exactly like history. We did enjoy the science too. I feel like history was our favorite, but we did a lot of things out of the science units. There were a few things that we have covered as a family already, so we just really lightly touched on those units and focused more on other things during that time. One thing I did notice with the science is that not everything that they presented necessarily lined up with my beliefs. I am a Christian, and I believe in the young earth biblical idea. They do talk a lot about things like evolution, not in the way that maybe it would be taught in school, but they present a wide variety of theories, and you can pick and choose which ones you want to teach your kids. They definitely talk about things like, millions of years ago and that kind of thing, but I feel like I'm the teacher, and it was easy for me to just leave those things out or teach them in the way that our family believes. I also, like I said, pull a lot of my own resources in. We, add things, we take things away. And I feel like that's the beauty of the Layers of Learning program is I'm not really a rule follower, but with this program, there aren't rules. I feel like it's more of a jumping off point and like, hey, you could teach this. Hey, this is a great idea. Here's a list of resources. Here's all the materials you would need if you want to do this project. So it's kind of like they've pulled all kinds of things together for you to start off a unit. And there's plenty here to be enough, but you can also add so much of your own ideas. You can tweak it the way you want. I feel like it's kind of just a foundation, and then you can just be creative in how you actually use the program. Here's a flip through of the printable pack for the rocks unit, and you can see that some of them are like workbook style, where it's fill in the blanks or cut and paste. Some of them are lapbook type pages where you would, fold and glue and have maybe like a mini book or something like that. Some of them are notebooking pages. So there's a wide variety. And again, you wouldn't do all of these things. You would just pick the things that fit the best with your family. And here is a quick flip through of the science notebook, or at least part of it, that you can purchase separately. And it's kind of like you do your notebooking, you take notes on experiments, you write down your observations. Again, a lot of lapbooking style pages. We didn't really use this. I can totally see the benefit, but I feel like we're kind of a family that isn't crazy about all the worksheets and cutting and gluing, so we skipped a lot of that part. And then here is the beginning of the geography unit. And again, I'll flip through each page of the first unit so that you can see how it's laid out. In year one, they focus mostly on one continent per unit. And then there was also the polar regions, oceans, and maps, I believe, were all of them that were covered. We really enjoyed geography too. We did a lot of work on map work and just memorizing countries, that kind of thing. We watched a lot of fun videos about the people and places that were talked about. Yeah, a lot of great ideas. We did some of the clay or the salt dough maps. We also really enjoyed the YouTube playlist for all the different subjects and units that Layers of Learning has, which anybody can access those on their YouTube channel. So those are great for anybody who, even if you're not using Layers of Learning, to find those topics and just utilize those resources they've pulled together on YouTube. One thing that is at the end of each of the units is there's a quiz and a book of knowledge page that you can add some project ideas for final projects. What we ended up doing is writing a note card with a bunch of the important facts that we learned, and then we just review those every once in a while when we do our memory work. We keep them with those. This is the World Explorers Journal that you can buy separately from the unit. Basically a place to keep your notebooking pages about the topics as you study through geography. Again, we didn't really use this. Here I just show my smaller separate binder where I kept everything organized for the actual units we were studying at the time. I have these resource pages in the front, and then I have a section for history, geography, and science where I would just put that specific unit so that I could just have all of them handy in one place without lugging that big binder with the whole entire year's worth of stuff. I also kept our timeline figures in the back. Here's a flip through of year one of art. This is actually the art program that I had originally started with, and we didn't do a lot with art with any program this year, to be honest. I didn't plan on doing art through Layers of Learning with my family, but the Layers of Learning creators blessed us with the art curriculum so we could show you guys. So I'm flipping through it here. We did use it a little as more of a resource, or I would pull projects from it occasionally when they fit with the topics that we were studying, but we didn't follow the units of art side by side with history, geography, and science as they are meant to be. I can totally see where that would be great and beneficial, and the ladies from Layers of Learning have a whole podcast and blog posts about why that's important and how beneficial it is. We just haven't really gotten into it that much as far as the whole subject of art itself. My kids love to do art, but when it comes to actually studying art, that's not our strong point. But I did flip through year one so that you are able to see it and decide for yourself how it would work for your family. Again, every single unit for every subject comes with a printable pack, which is an amazing resource, and they're usually around 20 pages long themselves, so there's huge amounts of ideas and printables and resources and tools that you get. It's an amazing amount of things for the price that you pay for Layers of Learning. So here's the printable pack, and then there's also a notebooking set that you can purchase called the Art Sketchbook that goes along with the unit each year. You can use, I'll flip through some of the pages of that as well. Looks like I'm a little off center here, sorry that some of them are kind of cut off, but these are notebooking pages that you can use alongside the art program. Layers of Learning also has their own planners, both student planners and mentor planners. Again, this is not something that we really used, although I am considering using the student planner a little more for my oldest, now that he's getting to the age where he needs to start learning to be a little more independent. For our family, we have used just a board, dry erase board that they mark off as they get their things done. But I do think that the student planner would be a great resource. You can see there's reference pages. You can record like the books they've read. And then here's a flip through the mentor planner. And ever since I started homeschooling, 8 years ago, however long, I have made my own planner. That's just something I really enjoy doing. I will show you a peek of that as well. But this is the teacher planner that you can use from Layers of Learning that's actually set up with all of the subjects and everything right there laid out for you, and you can use it however works best for you. Here is what I have done for myself. I've got a section for each week, or a page for each week, and sections for each subject, and it's just what has worked for us. I do a little bit of ahead planning as well as a little bit of recording of what we actually did. So it just, like I said, it's what works for us. And here I'll do a little flip through of Writer's Workshop. It's the writing program that Layers of Learning does. We really enjoyed this. Unfortunately, we only got about halfway through it, which is fine. We just took our time. Here's the table of contents showing each unit in the Writer's Workshop. And it's got a similar layout to the rest of the subjects that Layers of Learning puts out. I really enjoyed this style of writing program and definitely plan to pursue it. I did feel like, and it's probably my own fault as a teacher, that I felt like we needed a little bit more when it came to grammar type topics, although those are covered here, and I'm showing you here the index where you can actually find the exact pages for the exact topics that you're wanting to cover for your kids. So I think it can be a standalone program just fine. We have supplemented a little bit with things like Fix-It Grammar or some online activities that the kids have done. And then I organize our Writer's Workshop program with another separate binder, some of the printables, some of the idea packs. I often will do the assignments with the kids. Like they encourage a lot for the teacher to get involved and to write, and that's been really fun for all of us. There's a lot of reference pages, printable pages, so many more resources, again, with this Writer's Workshop. And I've got videos specifically about Writer's Workshop if you are interested and would like to learn more about that. But because this is a review of our last year's worth of experience using Layers of Learning, I wanted to just add it a little bit and tell you guys how much we really did like it, and it was a great writing program. I saw awesome growth in all three of my kids, third grade, fifth grade, and sixth grade, as we used this, and their writing came along beautifully this past year, so that was really exciting. Again, I have a video of how I plan ahead and keep track of all my resources, and this notebook here is a place where I write down the resources that I know that I want to use for future units. Then as I'm planning, I can go back and remember what I wanted to do. I also write future ideas, curriculums. I've got resources and the correlation charts, just lots of different things, some of them that you can find on the Layers of Learning Facebook page, which is a huge resource as well. Here's a little peek of our setup in our living room. I've got a shelf with the primary books and resources that we use daily or weekly, a little nature shelf collection, and then back here, I've got some of the salt dough maps and the globes that we use, reference books, encyclopedias, things that we access often, our field guides, and then a basket with some of the hands-on projects or things that we're using for the current unit. This is our reading basket, and the kids have, usually I have, say if we're talking about the Romans, we've got books about Rome and gladiators, and like all of our unit-based books are in this basket, and the kids can choose from those daily to read. So as I give you a little peek into our homeschool and our projects and trips and some of the things that we did this past year, I'm just gonna again say how much we have enjoyed Layers of Learning. It's been such a great fit for our family, and I feel like it's been what we've been looking for all these years. I've tried box curriculums, I've tried pulling things together myself, I've tried writing my own units, and while a lot of those things have pros, they just weren't a great fit. Either they were too restrictive or too time consuming. I felt like when we found Layers of Learning, it was just right as far as being flexible enough but yet structured to the point where we could pick those things that were laid out, add to what we wanted. Just great for a large family so that we could touch on things for the younger kids and the older kids, and everybody could be interested based on the projects that they were assigned. I feel like, again, there were a few things that didn't fit so great as far as some of the topics or the way things were taught, but because I'm the teacher, that was no problem to just rephrase or skip those projects or find other resources that fit our family better. So overall, I plan on using this again. I've already got year 2 started in the works, and we have just really loved it. If you have any other specific questions, feel free to leave them in the comments and I can answer them. But thanks for watching today, and hopefully you got some ideas. Have a good day.